What's happening, guys? Russian society is cooked, according to NFKRZ, 1.24 million subs. I think I've heard about this guy before. I don't know, we are all very surprised if the Russian society is cooked, to be honest, but let's see what he's got to say either way.
My home country of Russia is definitely going through a lot of hard times right now. With the Ukraine war happening, with the increased censorship and mass media and on the internet, with the overall state of the country and the economy and the uncertainty in the air, the Russian side of the internet has essentially become a massive cesspool of Z cringe. And if you guys do not believe me, then let me ruin your day real quick, okay? Here, for example, we have a video of a Russian lady preparing some sort of package to send to her man who is currently in the zone of this special military operation, right? How bad can it really get, guys? What even is this, bro? What is happening? We live in fucking hell. Okay. So yes, this Russian lady who's wearing the military uniform, by the way, has a Russian flag and a Z patch, clearly trying to show to the world that her husband is a warrior, cosplaying it out to the world essentially, right? Her husband asked her to put some kind of air freshener that he could use in his car into the package, and her reaction is, this. I think we need to bring shame back, okay, is all I'm saying. Good old-fashioned shame.
That's funny, man. I like it. So funny.
Needs to come back, because this is insane. Now guys, there is actually a reason why I'm showing you this video besides trying to ruin your day. Because in today's video, guys, once again, we're going to be taking a look at what is currently happening in the Russian society. Also, talk a little bit about the embarrassing TikToks of wives of Russian soldiers, which lack absolutely any self-awareness and are a good example of what is currently happening to the Russian society. Hey there people, it is your boy Roman, your favorite neighborhood Russian. Welcome to a brand new video, and actually, not that long ago on this channel, I've already actually reacted to some of these TikToks created by wives of Russian Z soldiers, and they are absolutely insane. They essentially range from, here I am, check me out, look how hard it is to be a wife of a Russian Z soldier, or some of them are like showing how these women are waiting for their man to come back from war and then they're sending him off to prison. I guess this is like the life cycle of being the wife of a Russian soldier or something. And also in some of these videos, these women are like bragging about how he's a real man or whatever because he's sending me huge amounts of money that he earned from the Russian government being an occupier, so it was just absolutely insane. However, one thing that I paid attention to in particular in that video is how actually you can see the insane cynicism and disregard for human life in the current Russian society through these TikToks as well.
А это значит, что ты можешь с ним не жить, ты можешь с ним не спать, ты можешь больше его не ждать, набежать в ЗАГС и разводиться, я тебе не советую, потому что, 2 года он там выживал, уже тоже, да, лимит удачи должен быть исчерпан, и как бы так-то разведешься, останешься с разбитым сердцем и с голой жопой. Сохранишь брак, может, что и перепадет.
Yes, people, that is correct. Apart from these sort of proud Z-soldier wives that post these TikToks that are completely insane, you know, they lack self-awareness, they do not understand how this looks, there's also a bit of a different side to this where there's Russian women out there who are currently married or in a relationship with a soldier who's currently in Ukraine. And a lot of these women essentially feels like couldn't care less if their man survived or died at the front line. And actually, a lot of them give out advice to other women in Russia on how to essentially make money on men that are dying at the front line right now in Ukraine.
That's a shame, isn't it? That's so bad. It's wild what's going on at the moment in terms of like how is there like a major war in this day and age, you know? How is it that like people are being sent to the front lines to die in like a meat grinder? And then you have women creating content that's like more or less making fun of the whole fact that their husbands are going to die in a meat grinder. I mean, it's just so dark.
Ukraine. So here I am in a Russian news article about how posted on the 1st of April of 2025, by the way, but this is not an April Fool's joke. Far from it. And here's the story. The Russian Investigative Committee and the Russian General Prosecution are investigating a lady that advised women to marry soldiers in the zone of the special military operation just for the money. A real estate agent lady from the Russian city of Tomsk who advised women to marry soldiers taking part in the special military operation in order to get 8 million rubles after they die in order to buy an apartment is now being looked into by the Russian Investigative Committee and the General Prosecution.
Let's check out how much 8 million rubles are, because I actually don't know. Let's see in USD. 8 million Russian rubles is 95,000 US dollars, So you guys know.
A veteran of the Special Military Operation and the Chechen War. That's a double whammy right there. My guy is just so bad at avoiding military service. This veteran complained to the Russian authorities, essentially asking this lady to be trialed under the crime of discrediting the armed forces of Russia. And he also would like her to publicly apologize for her words. Sounds interesting. Let's check out the actual footage and what she said.
Ну вот мне уже за 30, да? Мне что сейчас делать, если я хочу квартиру? Где мне брать деньги?
Да все легко и просто. Находишь сейчас мужчину, который служит на СВО. Он погибает, и ты получаешь 8 миллионов.
Что рабочая схема.
Конечно. Сейчас многие так делают. Очень много женщин к нам приходят с этими 8 миллионами, покупают какую-то там дешевенькую квартирку.
И ищут опять? Ну,
Не знаю, не спрашивала. Надо будет задать вопрос.
что это прям рабочая схема получается.
Это бизнес-план.
Ну вот мне
That's crazy, dude. Calling the idea of marrying a Russian man so then he could go, you know, volunteer to fight in Ukraine to collect money from him and then collect even more money, 8 million rubles, like 80,000 bucks, after he dies at the war, which will definitely happen. I enjoy the fact that these women, they just they know that it's a given, that men just die in war in Russia, you know, right? Like, this is just the fact of life now. This is not something that our government has caused or anything. This is just a...
It's actually so wild. Guys, I was just doing a quick search as well. I don't know how accurate these figures are, but I'm using Grok to find out. In 2025, the British Ministry of Defence estimated in March 2025 that Russia has sustained approximately 900,000 total casualties, that is killed and wounded, with 200,000 to 250,000 soldiers killed. So a percentage of those soldiers being killed, their money is going to wives who were just with them in order to get money after they die. So they were like just marrying them, just being with them in hopes that they would die in this war. So dark, man.
cycle of life. As a Russian man, you have to grow up and then die in a war. And then obviously, you know, your family, your wife gets to reap the benefits of your death. And what's even sadder and more ironic is that no matter how cynical and insane this clip is, unfortunately, this is the reality of modern Russia. First of all, not only are a lot of men in the first place feeling kind of unwanted, undesired, you know, a lot of men are just like in a middle life crisis basically, and they live in Russia, so they are depressed. Many of these men, they feel like they failed, their salaries are not that big enough in Russia for a lot of people to like really provide for your family. So a lot of men in Russia are just like, damn, I guess I really cannot get a good job that will pay me a lot of money, that will, you know, fund my family stuff. So I guess I just have no choice other than to enlist in the contract army and die for Russia, whatever that means. At least my family will get some money after I die. You know, essentially sending myself into the meat grinder is the only way I can make money. And that is actually the reason why a lot of the soldiers in the Russian contract army come from like poor rural areas where you cannot make any money other than becoming a soldier and sending yourself into the meat grinder.
Such a sad, depressing life. I feel sorry for a lot of people over there, you know. It's not their fault that their government has gone to war. It's not their fault that the economy is just shocking, you know. Even more reason, guys, no matter where you are in the world, if you can make money online, if you can just make a small amount of money online so that you can get out of your circumstances and go somewhere that's cheaper to live, so the living costs are lower, so that you can save more money and then invest it into things that hopefully allow you to make more money, or invest it into your business and in yourself. Just try and do that, you know. That's the only advice I can give you based on that, because I just think it's such a dark, depressing life to live if that's the circumstances for people in Russia. And it's not just going to be people in Russia either. There's going to be people all over the world that are in those similar kind of positions.
And it's obviously insanely cynical that this entire experience is formatted through this epic business advice TikTok on how to buy an apartment in the year of 2025 in Russia. Just get a husband and wait for him to die. Yes, guys, this is truly a normal country and a normal society, but like we already established, this lady immediately got some pushback for these comments. The Russian Z police is supposedly on her ass right now, and she actually did go out, and she did come out with a public apology and debunked her statements. Here it is. My apologies, by the way, for this weird fucking thing. There was probably a watermark, some shitty Russian Telegram channel on here that they covered up or whatever, so let's just enjoy this video looking at it as if her mouth is taped, okay? It's a great visual metaphor for the, you know, nature of free speech in Russia or whatever.
Здравствуйте всем, кто смотрел мое интервью с Дарьей. Я хочу обратиться к людям, которые приняли мои слова по поводу бизнес-плана с участниками СВО за чистую монету. Конечно, это был сарказм в сторону бессовестных женщин, которые охмуряют мужчин, пользуются их доверчивостью целью собственного обогащения. Ну, вот таким мерзким путем. Мои слова в том интервью не стоит воспринимать как совет ни в коем случае, потому что я сама презираю такие качества в женщинах. Я прошу прощения, что не подумала, прежде чем сказать и вызвала такую вашу реакцию.
Ah, yes, the classic cope. I mean, first of all, you guys gotta understand, I don't even particularly hate this woman or anything. I hate all parties involved in this conflict. Everybody. Everybody in the story sucks, okay? But I do have to say something here as an expert on the Russian legal system. I think she's in a bit of trouble because Russia doesn't have such things as sarcasm or like irony in the criminal code, right? So you cannot get away with something in Russia by saying it was a joke. You will go to jail still. I mean, this actually happened to a Russian YouTuber. I talked about this in a recent video about Russian YouTubers who went to prison. A famous Russian YouTuber, Yuri Khovansky, who had millions of subscribers, he was involved in a situation where essentially he got arrested in Russia in like 2021 for a 10-year-old song that he sung 10 years ago in a live stream, and in that song, he essentially praised like Chechen terrorist attacks that took place in Russia in the early 2000s. Like, for example, the Dubrovka theater siege Nord-Ost. This guy, a very long time ago on his live stream, sung a terrible song kind of praising terrorists and saying that we should have more of it or whatever. And 10 years later, he got busted for this by Russian police. The story is absolutely insane, by the way, involves like fake witnesses and stuff. You should check it out in my full video. But long story short, supposedly the guy's song on his live stream was also supposed to be like satire and a joke. Supposedly the guy was trying to get a rise out of like Russian nationalists that joined the stream and started flooding his chat or something, so he wanted to annoy them. But the thing is, once again, the guy ended up being on trial, spent like a year in pre-trial detention, almost went to prison. He only ended up walking free because the time limitation on the felony he has committed has already run out, basically. But yes, the guy went to prison for a satirical, supposedly, thing he said. That was still terrible, right? And the reason is simple. Once again, Russia does not have satire or irony in its criminal code. So, I know you think this gets you off, but it probably is not. Because everything you say will absolutely be taken at face value in Russian courts.
Но с одной стороны, может быть, это даже и хорошо, так как этот вопрос сейчас станет темой для обсуждения в СМИ и, возможно, даже примут что-то на законодательном уровне, чтобы защитить
Yes,
мужчин.
you were trying to bring attention to the topic and awareness to how terrible it is. Yes. And now she's doing the cope that, like, now that I've raised all this attention, our government is doing something about it. Hopefully.
Прошу прощения у всех, у участников СВО, у матерей, у вдов, у жен.
У Бога, у всех. Yeah, I mean, this just shows to me, once again, the level at, like, a lot of people in Russia operate. You gotta understand, this woman is currently in danger of going to prison for the words she said on the internet, right? And now, as a response to it, she's apologizing and she's saying, hopefully, as a result of all this, once again, the government will now ban this type of speech so that it's actually now going to be considered illegal. So she's essentially calling for her own imprisonments. It's like, this is how people operate now in Russia. They get censored, they get destroyed, and in their response to the destruction of their free speech, they say, actually, it's good that, you know, they're trying to kill me right now, and actually our government should be even more restrictive and should ban even more free speech. Guys, I am on your side. Please don't touch me. Please don't touch me. I'm Z, just like you, like all of you, please.
Oh man. Don't go to Russia, don't make jokes. Russians don't seem to be very sarcastic, so I'm surprised that she's even using that as a claim. From the Russians that I've met, they're not really jokesters, they're not really like sarcastic people. Like the Brits, for example, you know, you can speak to a Brit and most of what comes out their mouth is sarcasm. It's a very unique British cultural thing. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Firstly, I want to know about this. Like, do you think it's okay for these women to be doing this? I mean, at the end of the day, if you're marrying a husband and you need to get a bit of money and they're going to die anyway, maybe you think that's okay. I mean, I think it's so dark and depressing and just disgusting that that's even something that women do. But I'm sure that she's not the first one to say it or to think about it. I'm sure that she had that discussion because it's something that is going on in Russian society. I just think it's outrageous that that's something that was even joked about, to be perfectly honest with you. The whole place just seems really dystopian. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Maybe you're Russian, maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Let me know if you can provide some insights in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.